when we're in a danger zone, we are guaranteed to hear from our voice of sabotage. Just have the dessert tonight and get back on track tomorrow. Like our
Mhm.
voice of sabotage is always promising tomorrow.
Hello, carnivores, and welcome to session number 42. We are joined by Keto Mary today. Mary helps people heal their relationship with food and overcome their voice of sabotage. That's exactly what we will be discussing today. Mark and I have positive attitude talks all the time with our clients so that they are set up for success from the beginning and encouraged along the way as needed. This is truly a gift for Keto Mary, and I am thrilled to learn how she teaches to overcome destructive self-talk as it relates to our health journeys. Mary and I have known each other for over a year now. I wish I knew her about 5 years ago. We were just talking about this before I hit the record button because I was in the depths of my eating disorder, binge eating specifically, binging and purging, before healing it with a lot of prayer, my bodybuilding coach, and the carnivore diet. Her podcast is Food Freedom, a free resource that you can utilize in your recovery. And her website is foodfreedomwithmary.com. You'll find free resources, coaching, and consultation opportunities, and challenge groups. There are totally links to all of the above in the show notes of this podcast. Before we get into the meat, here is our Spotify podcast review of the week. It is from Melina Smith from Denver, Colorado, United States. So good, coach. They are messing with the wrong nerd. Proud of you for standing up for a healthy lifestyle and calling out all the BS out there. That was in regards to session number 41. Not feeding fiber to your kids is child abuse, question mark. Thanks, Melina. Long story. Thanks, Melina. Biggest deer eating gym nerd in the state of Montana right here. I don't think anybody would argue with that. Glad it made sense. Controversial topic for sure, but the truth always comes out when you search for the answers. Keto Mary, welcome to Carnivore Coach's Corner. How have you been lately?
I've been great. I'm excited about the new year.
Awesome. What have you been up to? What's been going on this week?
Gosh, well, this week, I mean, just the normal. Like I have a full client load right now,
Mm-hmm.
and all my kids are grown. My husband still works out of the house, so I just throw myself into my work. It's really, where my heart is, and so I spend a lot of time working. I'm one of those people that has a hard time turning it off.
Yeah. I love it. Well, cool. Um, so if a client checks in with you and reports something like, "I ate hashtag all the things. I messed up again, coach. I feel guilty. I feel like I'd let you down. I don't know why I keep self-sabotaging myself. I have this, and that happening in my life and wasn't able to follow my meal plan." I've been there a million times personally. So, Mary, what do you say to help and encourage your clients that work with you when something like this happens?
Yeah, there's a lot right there to unpack. So my program, when I work with people, um, there's a process. We first identify. I call it, what is your ed? What's your eating disorder? What's your,
Mm,
where are you disordered with food? What does it look like for you? So we identify what exactly are their struggles. We identify drug foods. And then my program is all about like providing like the right, tools and strategies to overcome that voice of sabotage, which is very real, that we all have. And it's really the voice of sabotage is our biggest obstacle. We think it's all these
mhm.
other things. We think it's, oh, I'm at my favorite restaurant, or I'm on vacation, or the food, the carbs were calling me, whatever. There's all these situations, and we
Yeah.
think that those things are our problem. And those things are all what I would call danger zones. And so I identify danger zones with clients. And when we're in a danger zone, we are guaranteed to hear from our voice of sabotage. And that's that voice that says, when you're out to dinner with friends and everybody's having dessert but you, and the voice says, "Oh, it's gonna look weird for you not to have dessert. Everybody's gonna know. It's just this one time. Just have the dessert tonight and get back on track tomorrow." Like our
Mhm.
voice of sabotage is always promising tomorrow. When, they say things like, so if a client came to me and said, "Oh, I messed up again." Well,
Mhm.
first we're going to have the conversation about the language we use. Like, instead of saying like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
elitist stuff like that, we talk about how language is important in our recovery. and to just simply say, okay, I made a food decision that that I regret, right? We're just going to like own, what it is. But so when someone says something to me like that, I take them back. I say, okay, well, let's go. Where do you think it started? Where did the breakdown happen? What was your danger zone? So we identify the danger zone, and then after we figured out what the danger zone is, it's important to find out what the danger zones are, because once we know what our danger zones are, we can see them coming, and we can recognize when we're in one. And if we can see it coming, we can plan ahead. And so we identify the danger zone. And then the next question is, when we're in that danger zone, we're going to hear from the voice of sabotage, which for me, I call my voice of sabotage Ed. It just means eating disorder voice. It's not some mean man's name, but so I always say, like, Ed is talking to me, right? Ed was always speaking to me, that eating disorder voice, but the voice of
I
sabotage.
like
So,
it. I just got off the phone with a guy named Ed,
oh,
but I won't tell him about
yeah.
it. But
So
it gives it a personality. Okay,
yeah.
I like it.
So, Ed will talk to us when we're in these danger zones. And, so then that's the next thing, is like, okay, well, what did Ed say? What did you hear? What was the dialogue that was there?
Yeah.
So, let's say it's, let's use an easy one, the holidays. Let's say it's Thanksgiving, and you've thought about it ahead of time. You've decided you're going to be carnivore, you're going to be keto, you're going to be food sober, you're going to be on plant, whatever it is that, whatever wording you use. I use food
Hmm.
sober. I'm going to remain food sober for this event. But then they get there, and there's the big dessert table, and then there's family members there who, if especially if they know what you're trying to do, maybe they start saying things like, "Oh, it's Thanksgiving, live a little, just have the pie, just have this," right? They are what I would call agents of Ed, like they're saying things that Ed would say to us. So it's reinforcing that idea that we're missing out somehow by not having those things. So the dialogue, maybe, you have in your head, you're looking at the pumpkin pie, and the voice is saying, "Oh, come it. You've been so good lately. It's Thanksgiving. One piece won't hurt. It's just one day. Go ahead and have the pie." Right?
My excuses are, it's leg day. You totally earned it. It's all gonna go to your legs. You can go ahead and
Right.
treat yourself. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except we don't have to earn our food. We have a right to eat, right? Like that's another thing we have to learn in recovery. We have a right to eat. We're not on a
Yes.
diet.
Yes.
um so yeah, so we identify, like, what's the dialogue. And once we recognize, once we know what the dialogue is, and we realize that what we're being told is a lie, because that's the other key thing, that when Ed speaks to us, it's a lie. And so the lie here is that, oh, you can have just one. Well, for most food addicts and people suffering from eating disorders, eating just one is a myth. Like, I don't know anybody
Hmm.
who doesn't use massive discipline and willpower, that eats just one of something and walks away. That was never the case for me. It was always one
Me
was too
too.
many, 10 was never enough. And so I had a track record. And so when we hear the lie from the voice of sabotage, the next step is to fight back with truth. Like, anytime when we're just in our general everyday life, and we hear a lie, whether it's we recognize the lie on TV, or something that somebody says, we know when we hear a lie that it's a lie. And usually our natural inclination is to be like, what, that's not true, right? So when we hear those lies from our voice of sabotage, that's exactly how we have to respond. We have to be like, what, no, that's not true. I've never had just one and got back on track the next day. It always
Right.
leads into a downward spiral. It
Yep.
starts out, oh, it's just going to be Thursday for Thanksgiving, but then it becomes leftovers on Friday, and then Friday Ed says, well, you've already blown it the last 2 days, so you may as well enjoy your weekend and start over on Monday. Magical Monday, right? It's
Yeah.
always a promise of sometime in the future. That's the voice of sabotage, like telling us these lies and making promises that are not true. So, I mean, that's basically the steps. We identify our danger zone, we identify the lie, and then we fight back against the lie with truth. So, and I encourage my clients to speak out loud. So when Ed says, "Oh, just have one piece and, get back on track tomorrow," my response would be like, "Actually, Ed, I've never had just one piece of pie and then gotten back on track miraculously the next day. So since I have a track record of not being able to do that, today's not going to be any different. I'm not eating the pie."
Hmm. Yeah, everything that you're saying sounds so familiar because I feel like both of us know Ed because Ed said all that same garbage to me, and what I kept telling myself was, "Oh, just to your point again, I'll start over Monday. I'll start over Monday. I'll start over Monday,"
Yeah.
and like my wife and I both, and we said that to ourselves over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
It's tomorrow,
and I don't know.
Monday, the first of the month, New Year. Like it's always some magical time in the future.
Right. I heard somebody say this. I don't know if it's biblical or not, but I heard somebody say that Satan's favorite lie is you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it yet. You don't have to do it right now, or that he wants you to procrastinate. And I think that's a really powerful lie that we tell ourselves.
Yeah,
And
sure. I mean, the goal is destruction, right?
yes,
Yeah.
okay. So you mentioned a term called drug foods. Could you elaborate a little bit on that, please? What does
Yeah.
that mean?
So drug foods are those foods that you have um been disordered with in the past, the foods
Okay.
that you feel compelled to eat. So for me, it was mostly the hyper palatable processed foods, any baked goods, um, deep fry, all of the those hyper palatable things that we know are unhealthy for us. Those are
Yeah.
my drug foods. But there's also some real foods that can be drug foods for people.
Hmm.
Like in my food sobriety, I've discovered along the way that even though almond butter, which is only almonds and salt, is, fine for a lot of people, it wasn't for me. It became a drug food because I couldn't moderate it. I couldn't have just one
Super
serving.
highly palatable, high in omega sixes, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need the sugar to have it. Like I always,
Right.
when I first started eating almond butter, I'd be like, "Oh, it's fine because there's no sugar in it." But it may as well have been crack. Like it was a
Yeah.
dessert.
Oh yeah.
And so I struggled with that in my food sobriety for a couple of years, like trying to moderate almond butter. And finally, I realized, you know what, this is drug food for me. It needs to go on my no list. It doesn't
Espe-
matter that, you know, that it's a real food or that other people can eat it in moderation.
yeah.
Um, it's that, all things are, it's biblical, all things are permissible, they're all allowed, but that doesn't mean they're beneficial. So even though
Yeah.
almond
Yeah. Yeah. I
butter,
love it.
yeah, even though almond butter is on every keto food list on the planet as okay to eat, that doesn't mean it's beneficial to me. So I teach my clients when they ask, because a lot of times they'll ask, "Can I have fill in the blank?" And I have to say that's the wrong question. We're not asking, "Can I have this?" The
I
question
hate that question too.
is this
Yeah.
beneficial to me? If I'm going to overeat it and feel compelled to keep eating it, and it's going to give me cravings and steal my peace with food, then it's not beneficial to me, and therefore, no, I'm not eating it.
Right, right. I start every day right now. I'm kind of embarrassed with a Ghost energy drink. They taste like crack. They're so addictive. They are so good.
Yeah,
Not that I would know, but they are so good. they,
yeah,
and like I know that it's bad for me. I know that I'm stealing tomorrow's energy from today, and like everything that everybody says about caffeine,
right.
but I like it, and I feel like it's especially right now. Like it's the winter, right? And so like everybody's kind of depressed. Like we don't have super high vitamin D levels around this time, and so
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this until I start the lion diet again in a couple of weeks, and between now and then, I know that it's something that isn't necessarily the best for me, but at the end of the day, I enjoy it, and I'm willing to accept the small amount of consequences that come from drinking that energy drink,
Hmm.
and I try to teach the same things. So like when people are like, oh, but like I really want this and that in my diet, I'm like, okay, I mean, like if 90% of everything else looks good, then I think you're okay. If you're honest with yourself and you know that you can consume it in moderation. For me, if
Yeah,
it's sugar, I can't. No way. I
yeah,
know myself, and so sugar is never in my diet.
yeah. That's the key, is knowing yourself. And when you're defining, what is food sober for ourselves, we are setting those boundaries. And as long as we're being honest about it, like personally, I don't think anybody could be described as food sober if they're regularly consuming drug foods in an attempt to moderate. Um,
Oh no.
but
So does that count as a drug food then? My Ghost energy drink?
well, I don't know. You can only say that, but I would say like the very definition of food addiction is using the urge to um, use something that you feel compelled to use, and you use it even though you know it's harmful, right? Like, so alcoholics, they want to quit drinking, but they keep drinking, they know it's hurting them, but they just can't stop doing it. It's the same way
Right.
with like a lot of foods for people. Like, so look at how many people like want to change their what they eat because they want to lose weight, they want to look better, they want to feel better, but they keep just choosing the same thing. They feel compelled to keep going back to those drug foods, because it's addiction, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it's very I don't know why it's so controversial, because alcoholism and drug addiction is not controversial, you know. But if you say I'm a food addict or I'm a sugar addict, there are literally, you know, tens of thousands of people who deny that that is a real thing, and
Yeah,
they
and not only is it real, but in a lot of cases, there's a lot more consequences to it. I mean, just I'm not this is not health advice. This is just like a perspective. but
yeah.
but like personally, I would take my chances with cigarettes the rest of my life over sugar for sure. Just
Right.
personally.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that it's safe to say, I think that being disordered with food is more common than not.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, just knowing the statistics, I've heard two now, like that 88%, but I heard more recently that the new statistic is 93% of the population is metabolically unhealthy. Well, we know metabolic health is related to diet and lifestyle, right? So if 93% of the population is unhealthy, it's not a stretch to say that probably the majority of those people have some sort of disorder when it comes to food. Like, there's a scale. Like, I think there's you know, moderate, or there's mild, moderate, severe, right? And
Yeah,
all of us fall somewhere on that with you know, and then there's very few
for sure.
exceptions that aren't. They're just like they're completely normal with food. They're
Yeah.
moderators. I think being an actual moderator is a rare thing.
Okay, because yeah, that's something else that I was going to ask you because everything that you're saying, I'm like, your brain works exactly the way that my brain works around food. It's either one donut. No, excuse me. It's either the entire shop or no donuts at all, but not
That's
one
right.
donut. Like that does not exist for me, and it never
Mhm.
has. And so that's why
Same.
if it fits your macros for me and tracking calories and all this bull crap was just such a losing battle because
Yeah.
yeah, it was like yeah, I can have 3 donuts. Great. I don't know. It still sucks. Like it's like still the last bite. Like I'm still pissed off that I can't have more. And so
Right.
it just got to a point where I was like, it is seriously never ever worth it. Let's
Mhm.
just be done with it. It's been a year. It's been over a year since I've had sugar now, and I don't miss it.
Yeah.
Like my quality of life is way better without it.
Yeah. It's much easier to have none than it is to try to have a little, but most people have to learn that the hard way. They don't
Yeah.
want to believe that. You know, most people want desperately to be a moderator. But if you're not one now, chances are you never will be. Like, moderators, they're not emotionally attached to food. They don't think about food the same way us those that are obsessed with
Right.
food think about it. Like, they only eat when they're hungry. They leave food on their plate, and they say things like, "Oh," when they take a bite of a dessert. They're like, "Oh, that's rich." Where I'm like, "Oh, it's rich. Give me two." You know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, personally, in my experience, I've seen very very few people that can handle sugar in moderation.
Yeah.
It's just I can handle it in moderation. I'm great. Okay, give that person 2 or 3 weeks later, and then you're gonna have a phone call about why they fell off the wagon. When people
Well,
eliminate it permanently, it doesn't happen.
yeah. Well, and let's also talk about, like, what does moderation mean, right? It doesn't mean, oh, I can stick to, like, a lot of people think it means like weighing out one serving and sticking to it. Well, if you're weighing out 1 ounce of chips every day of the week, you're not moderating. You're having chips every day, and you're just using discipline to like eat 1 ounce. A
Yeah.
moderator is like back, you know, like back in the day, you know, 50, 60, 70 years ago, when people had desserts on a special occasion, like literally people would have dessert 3 times a year. That's more like what moderation looks like.
Yeah. Okay. I have a personal question for you. back to my Ghost energy drink habit. Do you would you challenge me? Would you think that would be a good decision for me to stop doing that like now?
So
Is that an addictive tendency? Do you think that is probably I'm better off without it?
I think, is it sweet?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's super
Okay.
sweet.
Okay. So for me, it doesn't have to be real sugar. If it tastes sweet, it lights up my brain. Like it may as
For the
well.
record, I found artificial sweeteners to be 10 times harder to cut than sugar itself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, my question would be like, I don't tell my clients what they, what to eat. I don't tell them, oh, don't have that. I try to, ask them questions, find out like, well, what do you think it's doing for you? Is it benefiting you in any way? Do you feel like if you don't start the day with that, like that your day might not be as good? Like, what is it that you think it's doing for you? Um, so I just like would ask those kinds of things. So, but for me, just for my own peace of mind, I can't handle like sweet things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It just lights up my brain. It may as well be the real thing. Now, I've been food sober almost 10 years. So like I've, had an experience with lots of different things. There are
Sure.
certain things that I can eat that taste sweet that don't bother me, and there are other things that no way, off the table completely. Like I can eat keto brick, and I know you like keto brick. I can eat keto brick. I cut it
I
into
had one
four.
every day for the last 2 months straight. Yeah, that's an understatement. Sorry.
So I have a
Favorite flavor? Favorite flavor keto brick. What is it?
I can't. My favorite is the Bell's brownie batter.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah, yeah,
is
for sure. Okay.
not going to surprise you based on what I'm going to say next. So like
Yeah,
the keto brick, I cut it into fours. I can't. I have so many of them in my pantry. I can't eat them fast enough. So the keto brick is good, but it's not a Snickers bar, which is what I like a Snickers bar would definitely like send me off the rails. But
me too.
keto brick, I can have my serving, drink my coffee, be fine. I can do Equip protein powder. It doesn't like make me want to make 5 shakes in a row. Like it doesn't compel me to like want to keep eating more. But if I were to make keto brownies or pumpkin squares or any of like those traditional desserts, it's very hard for me to have just one. um
Yeah,
I can use discipline to have just one, but also I still in most cases prefer to have none because I don't want the battle in my brain, because once I
I don't
get
want
the
it either. Yeah.
taste,
Yep.
I'm thinking about it. Even if I don't go back for more, I'm thinking about it, and it's like stealing my food piece.
Yeah.
So that's why, but so that's why that's my flavor of keto brick, because it's brownie flavor.
Absolutely. Food. I love how Bart K says food should not be entertainment.
Right, exactly. That's what I say. Like it's not our reward, it's not our comfort, it's not
Yeah.
our entertainment.
If you're looking for food for a reward, I think that maybe that says something about your quality of life. Sorry, I don't know. Maybe that's too harsh, but like
No.
I don't think that like I think we just live in a society where everybody thinks that we need to be happy all the time, and that we we live in a pleasure seeking society, and that's not
Yeah.
what life's about. Life isn't about pleasure. Life is about purpose.
Yeah. Well, I think too much value or the wrong kind of value is placed on food, because obviously we have to eat, our bodies require nourishment, but 95% of, I believe, I don't, this is I'm just pulling that number out of my neck, but I would say like if walking in the grocery store, 95% of what's in there is humans shouldn't be eating it, right? Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
plant animal protein and plants. Like I think that's it. Everything in those middle aisles, it's all garbage.
Yeah, yeah. If it has a nutrition label on it, 99% of the time. Um, okay, I think we busted the ghost myth. I'm going to be cutting that tomorrow, and because I'm going to cut it before because I have to cut it for the lion diet anyway.
Yeah,
Again, cut caffeine before. It's like all right, it's the same normal annoying uh, withdrawal symptoms, right? Like water
yeah,
retention and kind of like brain fog for about a week, but that shouldn't be too bad.
yeah.
And then this podcast I think will air in like 2 weeks. So
Okay.
between now and then, if I'm drinking one, I'll totally get busted. So that'll
Okay.
hold me accountable. Thanks for
All
that.
right.
You rock. Okay. Um, danger zones. I thought that was a really cool topic earlier as well. would it be okay to throw out maybe a couple different examples? And so a danger zone would be something like driving by a donut store and smelling the
Yep.
donuts and like looking at the sign and like, oh, it's the red light's on. Oh man, because
Yeah.
every time in high school when I saw that red light, I stopped. It didn't matter where I was going. It didn't matter how late I was for anything. I stopped at that store and it was an entire box and a Mountain Dew for lunch. And then I would like just carry on the rest of my day. You can't do that in your 30s anymore. It's okay when you're in your 15s, but when you're like 15, but it catches up with you fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
um,
say,
so what are like some more examples of danger zones that you see?
yeah, danger zones are those situations that send you to food as the answer, as the solution for whatever it is that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and it's also like you described the donut thing. Like if you have a history of like seeing a donut place and pulling off, then that's definitely a danger zone. For me, it was the same way with like fast food restaurants. If I saw a billboard, like if I'm on the highway and I see a billboard for a new DQ Blizzard, my go-to back then was like, oh, we're gonna pull off. We're
For
taking
sure.
that exit. So that's a danger zone. But vacation, holidays, your birthday, office parties, a fight with your spouse,
Oh
a
yeah.
family member dying, a pet dying, like all of those things that we get
Comfort food.
emotional about, and those are all danger zones if we have a history of experiencing stuff like that and then going to food for comfort.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Um, kind of a recent situation that I would like to run by you, if that's okay. It's
Mhm.
kind of an emotional one, but like I don't know. I feel like everything we've been talking about has been pretty emotional so far. So here we go.
Mhm.
Coach Mark had a consultation with somebody recently that's chronically under eating, extremely lean, like has no fat on her body whatsoever, and thinks that she's fat and wants to be leaner. I had a very similar consultation with a guy that like basically the same thing. Like the dude is under eating. He's very very lean. Doesn't think that he has any fat in his body, and wants and just thinks he needs to be leaner, right? To the point to where it's like I don't feel comfortable coaching you because on how to do that goal because I don't agree with your goal, bro. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna hurt yourself bad.
Yeah.
Um, do you ever see this?
I do. And I personally don't work with anorexics because they're kind of a different animal. They very
Mm,
much have an eating disorder. But there's a lot more bigger mental health component with anorexics, and there's lots of health repercussions. A lot of people die from anorexia every year. It's a I don't know I don't remember the percentage exactly, but it's pretty high.
yeah,
And so I tell people that are anorexic and have tendencies or a history of anorexia that I'm probably not the coach for them, and I would refer them out. I would say try to find a therapist or somebody who
seek
works
professional
specifically
help.
with anorexia. But if they don't know or accept that they're like, a lot of times you can't tell someone, like I can't diagnose people, that's like not my job. But we can look at people and see there's like telltale signs, right? They don't have any body fat, they're underweight, they generally look skeletal, and also a big telltale sign is they have lanugo. It's that like baby fuzz like all over if you look at them, they have baby fuzz like all over their skin.
Whoa.
um so I mean, that's why one way that you can tell. And so I'm not equipped to work with anorexics. That's not something that I personally can relate to, and I'm not trained in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much for highlighting the differences between anorexia and eating disorders and how there's a difference there. Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely an eating disorder, but yeah, it's like a mental health thing, and it's a medical issue.
Yes, people, what is happening? Hope everybody's good. So, if you're on TikTok, make sure you're following us on our accounts, Carnivore Coaches Corner. TikTok is flooded with fake coaches that give out horrible advice, shit advice concerning your health. If you don't believe me, get a load of this.
Yes, red meats have their place as part of a nutritious diet.
Absolutely, 100% agree with every word that you just said.
But only proteins, only meats? Absolutely not. That's not going to support a healthy lifestyle, and it definitely won't help you reduce risk of cancer.
Time out. That is a myth. Eating red meat does not cause cancer. I'm holding 2 studies right now that completely disprove that myth, and they even go so far as to suggest that a meat-based diet probably reduces the risk of cancer. If you're really concerned about cancer, you should probably start intermittent fasting. One of the easiest ways to do that is with a meat-based diet. Most of the carnivores that I know gravitate towards 1 or 2 meals a day just naturally.
Fruits and veggies and whole grains have antioxidants and phytochemicals and fiber. These have all been shown through science to help to support the healthy cells.
Time out again. You're listing a lot of high oxalate foods. You know what has been proven to increase the formation of cancer cells? Oxalates, especially breast cancer. Here's some research by Andres Castellaro. Very, very eye-opening. Oxalates cause kidney diseases, autoimmune issues, chronic inflammation. That is not what I call living a healthy lifestyle, and I find it very ironic that on Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you're claiming that the carnivore diet gives you cancer.
Make sure you give us a follow over there, okay? We also post meal prep videos, workout tips, and tips from top carnivore doctors and nutritionists from across the globe. Now back to the show.
What does a typical day of eating for you look like, and why?
I mean, meat and
Yeah?
sometimes vegetables. Let's see. Today I ate brisket and cream cheese stuffed jalapenos.
Ooh.
I made them
Oh,
in an air
wow.
fryer.
Oh, that's out. Okay. Well, yeah, if we're talking about comfort food, then sign me up for that. Jeez.
Yeah, I had that today because I saw they were like marked down at the store. I'm like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
like I think it's probably been over a year since I had those. So I thought I'll have that today. And then I also I sauteed some shredded Brussels sprouts with ground beef and goat cheese.
Yum.
I ate today.
Why goat cheese and not dairy cheese?
I like cheeses that taste like really sharp and tangy, so I just like goat cheese for that reason.
Awesome. I usually recommend it because I don't know. I just find that people tend to digest it better
Yeah.
typically.
Yeah, I
don't
think
know why.
for people that are trying to be conscious about their dairy consumption, that it's a good alternative.
Absolutely. You have a 28-day keto jumpstart program. I remember from stalking your website. Your very
Yeah.
cool website. What does your program look like?
That's just one of my digital products. It's basically a how-to. It's like an introduction to keto. It's how to keto, and it includes a meal plan and recipes. It's not I just have it on my website. It's not something that I really promote, but for people, if someone says, oh, I've been thinking about doing keto, I would say to them, great, here's my jumpstart program. But my signature program is my food freedom program. And that is it's a self-paced program that for people that want to finally change that relationship with food and get off the roller coaster. And so I start people there. So that's my main program.
Super stuff. Question for you on that. When you have someone that's on a standard American diet, they're eating everything that the government and everything on mainstream media says that you're supposed to eat,
Yeah.
that we know we're not supposed to eat.
Yeah.
But that's what everybody says. So you have somebody that's eating like that, and they're not exercising, and they go, Mary, I want to go keto. I want to change everything, and I want to give this a go. I want to give it my best shot. Is that a transition, phase by phase? Do you start gradually removing fiber, carbs, or whatever?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the person and have they done keto before or not. Generally, if they've never done it before and they have a lot of weight they're trying to lose, and they're not convinced or sure that they really have a problem with food, they think they've just, most people don't recognize that they have an eating disorder. They think that,
right,
they just lack discipline. They haven't found the right diet. They haven't tried hard enough. They heap all the blame on themselves. So just depends on where they're at. I kind of I ask a series of questions to find out where their mindset is at and all that. So for someone that needed to lose a lot of weight and wasn't quite sure that they were disordered with food, I would just say, we're just going to eat real food now. So, no Cheez-Its,
cool.
chips, no, fast food, fries and burgers. So like, let's just eat real food. Like, here's a food list. And I'll tell them, I have a food list and that's just general, stuff. And I tell them, I want you to highlight all the foods on here that you really like. And then I want you to cross off the foods you don't like, because I think it's disordered to eat foods you don't like for the sake of health or losing weight or it fitting macros or something like that. Don't eat any food you don't like. And then the ones that are not highlighted or crossed out, you could take it or leave it. You can eat everything that's highlighted and everything that's not highlighted, that's not crossed out. And I just tell them, you look at the list. If it's not on the list, don't eat it.
Hey everyone, Coach Taylor Milton here. Welcome to Skull Bells TV, the official YouTube channel of supersetyourlife.com, where you're going to discover a weekly upload of quick and easy to follow workout tutorials featuring Coach Colt, myself, or one of our athletes to keep your workouts fun, practical, and effective. Our family's latest keto carnivore recipes that fuel Colt's competitions and keep myself and our kiddos strong and healthy. Video uploads of the supersetyourlife.com podcast, now over 100 episodes. Your weekly dose of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym, and much more. Last thing before we get into the video, we're asking a big favor from you. This has been working beautifully, so if you would please think of someone you care about that would benefit from this video, go ahead and smash that like button, click the share button, and text this video to them. That would mean the world to us. And while you're at it, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss more exciting content from Skull Bells TV, because our team has lots of meat and lots of muscle coming your way, and I promise you won't want to miss it. When you hit the subscribe button, you'll see a bell icon pop up. You want to click that too so you're notified every time we release a new video. Thank you so much for the support. It means the world to us. Every like, share, and subscription helps our channel grow and supports our family's hard work. So thank you so much for doing your part too. That's all we ask. God bless you, and please enjoy this video.
Do you find that doing it that way does like 90% of the work for you, and then you don't even really have to track ketosis and try to get into ketosis or any of that macro manipulation stuff?
Yeah. And I know macros and tracking, all that. I've done all of those things certainly over the years, and use those things to reach certain goals and stuff. I'm tracking right now because I'm working with a coach. I hate tracking, but I'm doing it. But I think that, they're definitely, it's a great tool. There's great tools and there's a time and a place for them. But when I first start working with someone, I tell them straight off the bat, I'm not giving you macro. We're not doing that. We're not playing that game. You just are going to eat real food.
Smart.
And you're going to eat when you're hungry. Don't like intentionally restrict. I think a lot of people fail at getting food sober because they're stuck in diet mentality. So they will really restrict the amounts that they eat because they have a history of, when they're trying to lose weight, eating less, right? So it's a big, my biggest battle in working with people in the beginning is getting them to eat enough food. Because I'm sorry, if you're 400 pounds and, even if you're eating 2,800 calories a day, that's a deficit for somebody who weighs 400 pounds. They're going to lose some weight without doing any tracking. And so I just want to encourage them to eat when they're hungry. So they fail because they try to restrict food and go through withdrawal at the same time. So, if someone's having sugar withdrawals, I tell them, eat meat, eat fatty meat, make a ribeye, make a burger with a fried egg and avocado on it. Throw some
it's counterintuitive, but that's why you just have to sometimes look at them in the and just say,
yes,
trust me, this is coming from my heart. Just eat the stick of butter. Your sugar cravings will go away, and the butter's great.
Yeah, and that's for right now.
It doesn't have to be a stick of butter. I'm just using it as an example.
But I mean, if you, I don't know, do what it takes to feel satiated in the beginning. We don't have to tightly control. When you have so much weight to lose, it's not necessary to be so tight with the macros. If you just stop eating the hyper palatable processed foods and drink only water and coffee,
the battle's done. That's your lead domino. All the other dominoes fall in place if you just start with that one.
Exactly.
But you see, guys, there's so many. Mark and I see so many online coaches that they have fake Instagram accounts, fake followings, and they're all saying, "Oh, you can eat your carbs in. Don't restrict. Never ever restrict one food group. I'm like, that's bull crap. That's not even a food group. It's sugar.
Yeah.
It's a drug. It's not food.
Yeah, I tell people, I talk about this on my podcast a lot, like run from those people who tell you. So, my program is called Food Freedom, my podcast is called Food Freedom. And but if you were to just do a search for food freedom, the definition that you're going to find at the top of the Google list is not my version of food freedom.
Yeah.
So most people think
Exactly. That's what's wrong with society.
food freedom means, it doesn't mean I can eat whatever I want without consequence, that I can moderate all things. That's what most people promote as food freedom.
Right.
For me, food freedom is, I have healed my relationship with food to the point that I don't even desire to eat those things that harm me anymore. I am free
Right.
of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what real freedom is. I love
right.
it. Cool. Okay, last question. What is the hottest thing that you're working on right now? You're always doing something cool. You're a content creator. You always got something new coming out. What are you working on lately?
Gosh, I am sad to admit that, like, I'm very disorganized with social media type content stuff. I'm just kind of winging it, and if I see something I like, I'll remix it.
Yeah,
that's my thing lately, is like funny videos. But in actually just a month ago, I launched my big project that I've been working on, is my Food Freedom Tribe. It's a membership, because I used to do group coaching, and I would do like 4-week groups or 8-week groups. And people were always like, taking them over or asking if I had like a follow-up group or anything. So I created a membership it just goes on year long. It's the Food Freedom Tribe, and it includes like a video library of over 100 videos so far, just from like my previous programs and stuff. And then I meet with them on Zoom twice a month to do group calls. And I have a forum for them all to like chit chat and communicate. And I am there on the forum every day. So that's what I'm most excited about, because that's brand new. I launched it, and it's going great so far. And I'm excited about growing that. And I really enjoy, and these are mostly people that have been through my program. A lot of them are already food sober, but then there's some that are not either. So I just love like being in the trenches with them.
Yeah, I love it. Wow. Well, thank you so very much for your time, for your wisdom, for your expertise. Like, I mean, I feel like this was a consultation personally, and so I certainly learned a lot. I think this will be an extremely helpful resource for our clients that that we have these conversations with, and for our listeners. So I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Also, for once again purchasing our logbook.
Yeah.
My wife and I hit legs this morning, and it was one of those days where I was like, yeah, I don't have time to track it. And then I was like, oh heck no, I'm talking with Keto Mary tonight. Yeah, I definitely have to track this.
It's a great little book. I love it.
Thank you so much.
So thanks so much for having me. I hope that what we talked about resonates with a lot of people.
Well, that's it for this week's session, everybody. Couple things to wrap up. If you are on TikTok, make sure that you are following us there at Carnivore Coaches Corner for meal prep, workout tips, and obviously for calling out fake coaches that have fake Instagram followings that give out absolutely horrible advice. There's a ton of them out there. Not hard to find. I actually need your guys' help on that too. So when people listen to them and wreck their health, we step in and call a timeout. Sometimes it gets dramatic, but that's TikTok. So what do you expect? So yeah, listeners, totally need your help. If you find a video like that fits that description, you want us to pick apart, send it to us on TikTok. They are not hard to find. I'll pick it apart for you. All right. If you need some gym motivation, look no further than our workout podcast called the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast. We are well over 200 episodes on that channel, and it's available on the same platform that you're listening to now. Just type Superset Your Life, all one word, into your search bar, and you will see our black and white podcast logo pop up. It's a podcast specifically recorded to listen to while you work out. We regularly interview professional bodybuilders and judges, top nutritionists like Keto Mary, stand-up, that's on this channel though, stand-up comedians, leadership experts, and top athletes from SupersetYourLife.com. We keep the focus on health first, bodybuilding, faith, and family over there. My wife Taylor and I are the hosts of that show as of 3 years and growing, and Coach Mark Ennis has been an enormous part of all we do there as well. Mark and I are both on Instagram and offer private one-on-one consultations as well as coaching services. Links to schedule coaching calls can be found on our Instagram bios or in the show notes of this podcast. And one last reminder before we sign off, leaving a review just takes about 10 seconds, if that even. If you're on Spotify, where you can see that on the show notes right below that, it says Q&A. So bam, right there, you can tell us exactly how you think. We will respond when we record the following week, either by reading your review or by discussing the topic that you would like to know more about, or even really by getting to work on whatever critiques that you have about how we continue to improve this show. Mic levels, music, seriously, whatever you guys got, so that we can make this a better audio experience for you, so that you're learning, you're being educated. That's all that we're trying to do. So that's how we communicate as a dialogue, not a monologue, everybody, but in this intimate conversation back and forth that we call Carnivore Coach's Corner. Share this with a friend if you found it helpful, please, and we'll catch you next week on session number 43.